Hey traders, welcome back to another Sunday video where I go over trading setups for the week ahead, as well as kind of just keep you guys journaled in on what I am looking at in the markets. Here's a quick look at the latest in terms of trading performance. June is turning into a really solid month for me here. We were up 31,000 in this month alone, which is an anomaly month, very, very big up month for me. Now, I should also add clarity. I know that, when I talk about this trading performance, I also have to show, ups and downs. 2022 was a really tough year for my gold and indices trading account, which is this one. And then 2021 was good. 2020 was great. So, here we are so far, carving out a really solid year so far. And on this particular account, up about 131,000 total. So let's jump into some charts, talk about some trade setups, and get going. All right, guys, and here we go, taking a look at the charts for the week ahead. Now, I do also want to say the reason I've been showing that trading performance is not to brag. There's a couple key reasons why I like to do it consistently. Number one, I think it's important as a YouTuber for transparency, to show, real trading. I'm not out here making $10 million a month or anything like that, but, I've been doing this for a number of years and I like to show my brokerage accounts just to, again, transparency. Number two, to show realistic stuff. I'm not up 50% per month or anything. I'm up, in this month, which is a very, very good month for me. I'm like up 5.5%. And now, granted, when you're working with larger capital bases, you don't need huge percentage returns. You don't need to risk your whole account in order to make decent money. So regardless, a couple reasons why I showed that. I want to talk about the dollar here going into this week because last week was really key for the dollar. And it sort of bolstered my bearish bias on the dollar. And I want to show you a couple things about that. So the dollar has been really weak. We've seen a downward trend sort of creep in here. We're looking at the 4-hour chart, and notably, we see the dollar breaking through key levels of support. Now, what I mean by that is that 103.4 level was a huge barrier to the sellers, right? Sellers could not get under that price, and each time we attempted to, we found buyers stepping in and pushing off of those lows. But not so much this past week, with the Fed essentially helping out the bears here. And what I mean by that is they didn't necessarily even mean to. Jerome Powell, or JP as we'll call him, JP mentioned that, again, that there's no expectations for rate cuts this year, and that the Fed pretty much thinks that there's a consensus of 5.6%, which is higher than our current interest rates that we have now. Now, the reason for this commentary not having an effect on the dollar, right? You would think, oh, that's hawkish. The dollar should rally off of that, right? Well, the market didn't quite buy it, and we had our first pause. Now, again, actions speak louder than words here. And again, we had our first pause. And again, the market really took off. And when I mean took off, it means to the downside for the dollar, upside for risk on assets, as we'll talk about in just a moment. But again, dollar weakness came in, and these big candles were able to break through this level and notably held 103.4 for the bears. I'm bearish going into this week. I'm I have been bearish on the dollar and continue to be until something surfaces that changes the direction of this market. Now, I've got a fib drawn here, and what you can see is we've got a 102.75, 102.7 zone right here, which has a nice notable level of what was support, rallied back, broke down. If it does make its way up into this area, I think there may be some opportunity to sell the dollar and continue this push to the downside. Notably, I want to talk about indices today, and I will get to those, but I also want to talk about gold before we get to that. An inverse story, I would say, to what happened with the dollar, but yet again, another market that I really want to be long. And I'm going to show you guys this stuff here in just a moment for a number of reasons. Now, of course, from a purely technical standpoint, here's the gold market. You've got this chart that just does not want to break out, and it finally makes a push to the downside and just barely trades underneath, breaks out, turns out to be just a fake breakout, and moves right back into consolidation, where it seems like gold is most comfortable recently. I've been vocal that I want to be a buyer of gold, and I'll show you some of the reasons why for that in just a moment. But we're back in this range, and until we start to see breakouts, meaningful breakouts notably, above this 1965 and really the 1970 level, I'm going to be really hesitant to go long gold. And this is from a technical perspective, but I want to show you something really important here. Gold is actually listed on the EDGEFINDER as a possible buy right now, with targets right now at 1971. But I want to show you one of the key reasons as to why we get this score. Now you can, of course, if you're familiar with the EDGEFINDER, you can look across the entire row and see the current scoring for this. But let's look at the Smart Money Tracker for a moment. The Smart Money Tracker will show us what institutional traders, where they're positioned currently. Now, of course, this is a week-by-week update from the CFTC's Commitment of Traders data. We pay attention to the non-commercial traders, and this is what we are paying attention to here today for gold. We see gold still maintains a very heavy long presence from institutional traders, but cautiously. As you'll notice, when we pull up the gold market specifically, and we highlight this on our software, we can see that yes, long contracts heavily outweigh short contracts, but recently there was a dip in the number of long contracts, meaning institutional traders on the futures market, which is what this is tracking. These are number of contracts, decreased their long exposure and actually increased their short exposure. Despite this, the overall percentage still shows a heavy preference in open positions to the long side for the gold market. Now, again, why does this matter to you and I? Well, I like to keep an eye on what professional traders are doing, whether they're long or short. And so for me, you might say, well, Nick, they just picked up short positions and they closed long, so why would you be bullish? Well, remember, the overall presence is to the upside, and last week was really kind of just a give or take week. We just saw back and forth on gold. I am looking for evidence this week. Yes, they had added some shorts, but I'm looking for evidence this week that they start building longs, meaning pushing price up, breaking out. Usually what you'll see with the COT data is that if the market starts trending up strong, usually, not always, but often enough, it usually comes with accumulation from institutional money. So I'm looking for a trade like this week. If we can break this 1970 mark, I'll be looking to get long. Now I have to be very clear. If you guys have been watching my channel for a while, this is not the first time I've talked about this level. In fact, I've talked about it a lot, and I just haven't had any opportunities. I feel like I'm a broken record. I've said this same scenario multiple times, and I've tried to be patient the whole time. We'll see if we finally get the opportunity to look to get long here on gold this week, and if I do take that trade, you guys will see it inside of our Discord channel. And speaking of the Discord channel, you know I have to plug it for just a moment. If you guys are not already inside of the Discord channel, it is the spot to be. Yes, it is a paid service. I know, terrible, we charge money for something, but it is worth the money. I am very confident, and yes, it is something we are selling, but it is something genuinely worth the price and every penny of it. Here's why. Inside of the group, you get access to all the trades that we're taking, but not just copy signals. We're not about that. Instead, we share our breakdowns with full explanations, reasonings for every single trade, images to help you understand why the trades are being taken, and updates throughout the week on major things that we are watching ourselves. I take swing trades. Frank takes swing trades as well. I take position trades, which are longer term swing trades. And then Frank also does stock trades, and I do some options trading as well. By becoming a member with us, you get access to all of these trade alerts where you can see the trades being sent directly to your phone or desktop, and you can see why I'm taking the trades that I'm taking. If you'd like to get notifications for this, we are currently doing a massive 50% off VIP sale. If you're not already inside of the group, this is the chance to join us for the biggest discount price we've ever done on memberships. All you have to use to get access to this 50% off is down below in the description. There's a link to sign up. It's at the very top of the description. Just use code YTVIP when you check out, and you'll get 50% off any of our memberships. Comes with our entry and exit signals, trade breakdowns, coaching webinars with Ivan Beidel. If you have not already met him, he's a great gentleman. He's on our live streams. He does our coaching webinars where you can ask your questions, and you get access to our strategy library. If you're not already inside of the group, it's a great time to join, and it's the biggest discount that we're doing ever for memberships right now. So take advantage, check it out down below. All right, so back to the charts here. I mentioned I wanted to talk indices. Let's take a quick look at the S&P. I was so hoping that we would get a bigger pullback this week after I got stopped out or trailed out for a profit. Now, if you guys are regulars on the channel, you know the drill here. I picked up the S&P long over here, and I rode that move all the way into the Fed meeting, trailed my stop about right here, and sure enough, price popped down just enough, whipped back up, and eventually left me behind. Now, I shouldn't really complain because, to be completely honest, I caught a good chunk of this move. Even though I missed out on this post rally, I still feel like I made good money and I made the right decision for my personal trading. So I can't complain. I trailed this one. And again, this is where I shared the trade. So the full breakdown was clarified to members here. You can see at one point the trade was running over 6R. Up over 6R on this trade. It was an incredible trade. It was the only trade I took last week, and it was the only one I needed to take, at least on the swing trading side. I had some options trades that I took as well, which are now actually also moving in profit as well. Maybe I'll show you those in just a moment. But anyways, yeah, so the S&P 500 trade, I won in again. I would love to get a pullback to this 43.80. If we get a 43.80 pullback, there's a good shot I'll be taking another chance to go long on the S&P, picking things up just briefly to where they left off. Now again, big breakout here, huge candles. These are super bullish candles, and I am absolutely continuing my bullish presence on the S&P if we can get a pullback there. Now some people will say, well, Nick, what about NASDAQ? Why not trade NASDAQ? Possibly I'll do the same thing. NASDAQ is also incredibly strong, and I may actually pick up NASDAQ perhaps as well. I don't usually trade them at the same time, and my preference is the S&P 500, but I'll still look at NASDAQ closely if we can get another opportunity. Again, these charts are actually, this and gold are the two things that I'm most interested in watching going into this week, where I think there's the most potential for my personal trading style. Pullbacks, trending markets. I'm looking for this 14,880 on the NASDAQ to possibly get back into another position. Now, I also want to take a quick look for the currency traders out there. EURUSD broke higher, big move up. I think that this one is in the same boat, nice upward trend. And if this pulls back, you may get an opportunity to see this thing continue its upward trend overall. So we'll watch that one as well. Pound USD, very similar story, incredibly bullish here. I like the fundamentals on this one quite a bit, and I want to show you guys the central bank forecast tool. If you guys do have the access to the EDGEFINDER, which is our market scanning software that our company offers, A1 Trading, I want to show you something really interesting. So here's the UK. When we talk about central bank forecast, this new tab, which if you do have access to the EDGEFINDER, just go check out the central bank forecast tab. It's one of our newer features, and we've been working on it a lot. So in terms of short-term interest rate forecasts, this will give us an idea as to where central banks are expected to go. So essentially, they're expected for the UK to keep interest rates pretty high throughout most of 2024, while inflation is still very, very strong. There are some people who are even more hawkish than this, thinking that the Bank of England will keep higher for even longer than that. Well, let's compare things to the dollar. The dollar is expected to also drop interest rates here, but inflation is considered much more under control in the United States, as we're not floating up in that 10% territory that the UK just barely crested. So they just got out of that 10%. Now we're looking a little bit better off for the UK, but still, again, we can also compare things to Europe, and we'll see that the euro, the ECB, has no current forecasts on our data here for rate cuts. So if I'm looking at these currency pairs and I'm saying, well, the euro is expected not to see any rate cuts, and yet the US dollar eventually is, there's a divergence there. And so this chart looks incredibly bullish, both technically as well as fundamentally, when comparing the central bank forecast tab. Again, this is one of our newer features. It's something we're really excited about, and we've worked really, really hard to get this data all in here. We can actually even scroll down and see what forecasts are looking like. So you can see, again, the ECB expected to keep rates at current levels. Japan has unchanged forecast. However, the UK expected to drop off eventually. US expected to start dropping off Q3 2024. Canada, right, a sudden expectation of rate cuts expected in Q4 2024. Australia, similar, relatively hawkish with cuts eventually in sight. So very interesting to see those dynamics, and we'll keep tab on the central bank forecast. I'll probably be implementing this more often. Again, I do want to go back to the smart money tracker for just a second. For those of you guys who do like using this data, please feel free to pause the video and take a look at it. We've got gold over here, JP225 just increased a big, well, actually, wow. Going up 83.72%, very, very long. And this is cool, guys. If you're looking at an indice that has really strong Sorry about that, 225 USD. If you're looking at an indice that has just big institutional buying, it's the Nikkei. Look at this thing. This thing has just been smoking it to the upside. And I don't own JP225, but I do actually own one Japanese stock. I own Toyota, and Toyota has been absolutely on fire recently. This has been one of my best performing stocks recently. Is actually just Toyota, which is, you know, a stable, you know, company out of Japan. It's one of their biggest, you know, powerhouse companies. And anyways, I just thought that was kind of interesting to mention. Now, I did also mention that I wanted to talk about with you guys some of my options plays. Now, if you guys are newer to options like myself, well, I'm not newer to options, but I've only recently begun sharing my options plays inside of the Discord community. If you guys are not already in there, and you're interested in options, essentially what I like to do is I like to sell out of the money puts or calls on positions that I have covered calls. I like to write options, which allows me to collect premium, and I'll show you just a little bit of that here. Okay, so I'm taking a look here at an SLV chart. This is a silver ETF. It essentially tracks the price of silver, and I recently sold puts on SLV. Now, what this means is essentially I opened up a contract. Essentially, think of this as another trader out there wanted to short or buy puts, which is a bet against the market on silver. And I sold that option to them to essentially sell essentially to buy shares of SLV at 21.5 per share. And the reason that a trader might want to do this is that if you think the market is going to crumble, you may want to buy puts. So I'm selling that option to somebody else. And when I do that, I collect what is called premium, which is essentially when you write options, you get the ability to collect premium. Now, the option itself has actually lost value, and because I am short or selling the option itself, I'm making money off that. But I also, again, collected that premium up front just for writing the position. This is something that I'm more recently sort of getting involved with. Options are if I'm talking about things that I'm most or least experienced in, options are a small component to what I do in my trading account, but it's something I've been exploring, something that I've been sharing inside of the group. So if you guys like options, yeah, comment down below if you're an options trader or if you're somebody who is interested in options. Again, I find myself much more comfortable on the options selling side, but it's something that I do inside of the group now. So if you guys are not already in there, again, make sure to join the membership. And also if you want EDGEFINDER details, you can also find all of that. For those of you guys who like our software, make sure to get access to this if you have not already. We got new features coming out all the time for this. Our team is working really hard on building some new features. So thank you guys for watching. And if you made it to the very end of this video, I gotta say, we got a cool little keyword for you. Light bulb. Light bulb. If you guys made it this far, if you made it to the very end of the video, got our little light bulb. The reason there's a light bulb there, by the way, is just our little pop-ups. Frank did a good job just writing these in, giving people details about what they're looking at on the software. So if you made it this far, type light bulb in the chat or in the comment section, and I'll try and heart your comment. Have a great week, guys. Thank you for tuning in to another video. Stay safe.